Let me go ahead and get rolling here since we're a few minutes
All right,
behind.
let's do it.
I am today we're going to do just Docusign Basics, and I've kind of geared this class towards going from the point basically from start to finish of a transaction, from where you got a client to where we start our opportunity. Then we're going to jump into Docusign, go through the basics there, but then prep our forms for e-signatures, and once we get those back, how to actually get those submitted to the Market Center so you can end in a paycheck. So any story that ends in somebody getting a commission or a paycheck, to me, that's a good story. So
We like that story.
like that story. All right, we're on the right track then.
Joe
Right.
can tell you, Heather doesn't know how to do that.
Oh, well, that's why we're here.
All righty.
All right, give me just a second, ladies. I'm going to pop open Command here and then share my screen. There we go. Can everybody see that okay?
Yes.
Awesome. I was going to say awesome possum. My family got in a huge discussion this weekend about the proper terminology surrounding a possum, because apparently there's a possum, there's an opossum, and then of course there's the proper vernacular when you say something with a consonant or a vowel ending. So I don't know if the conversation cleared it up or made us more confused than we ever were. So anywho.
Okay.
All right, gang. So we're gonna start today. We're basically gonna walk through just basically a 6-step process is what I broken it down into between Command and Docusign. Spending most of that time in Docusign to actually go through the documents and get through all the basics and everything. But then on the tail end, how to actually bring those forms into Command to get them submitted to the Market Center, your compliance forms, so that you can get a commission and a paycheck, which is always a good thing. Okay. The first thing that I always like to tell everybody is step 1. We're going to start off right from the get-go. Up here on the very top right, you see my name and my spiky hair headshot photo. We're going to click on that down arrow, which always gives us our command menu. And then from that, we're going to go to our settings. I'll click on that. And feel free, gang, I never like to assume how your learning style is. If you want to have your command open and follow along, like by doing it, that's cool. If you just want to kind of soak it in and then maybe, come back with questions or practice it later on, that's cool too. All right, so step 1 in the process is basically this. You either need to connect to Docusign or verify that you are connected to Docusign, okay? Now, you'll notice when I come into the command settings, you can see my Docusign up here at the very top. My status over here in the middle, it does say connected. Current status is connected. And the action button that I have on the far right says disconnect account, okay? So if you were to come in here, if you are connected, then you should see exactly what I've got here. Obviously, the only thing different there would be your email address is going to be different than mine over here on the left, okay? If you are not connected to Docusign, this current status is going to say not connected or disconnected. And then the button would say connect rather than disconnect, okay? So if that's the case, then that's okay. You would just click on that connect button. If you have a Docusign account, it's just going to ask you to log in so that it can connect Docusign to Command. Or if you had never created a Docusign account yet, if that's your very first time getting in there, is by connecting it to Command, then it would just walk you through the profile creation process, which is fine. It's just going to have you enter some information about yourself, your email address, choose a password, etc. But ultimately, when you get done and it pops you back here to Command, then you should see your status looking like what I have again, where you're connected and the button says to disconnect your account. I do like to bring this up because, technology is not perfect, unfortunately. And we do have people that have problems sometimes. And if you are experiencing multiple problems with Command, between Command and Docusign, I should say, your forms aren't downloading or they're not syncing properly, there's a couple things I can tell you right now to troubleshoot. One, Command was built on the Chrome web browser platform. So the first thing I would verify that you're doing is to make sure that you are using the Chrome web browser. Now, that's not to say that you cannot use other web browsers. Command works just fine for the most part. And, Internet Explorer or Safari, if you're on a Mac, if you're a Mac user, a lot of people use Safari, etc. But if you do start experiencing glitches, literally the first thing myself or support is going to ask you is, are you using Chrome or not? Okay. The second thing that you could do is the standard, what we call the standard Microsoft solution, quote unquote, which is to get out and get back in again, kind of shut it down and then start it back up. And I bring that up because this button over here that says disconnect account, you might want to just go ahead and disconnect account. It's not going to do anything bad. It's literally just going to disconnect your DocuSign account. And sometimes just the action of disconnecting your account and reconnecting it again solves those sync problems. Okay. So if you ever do find that that's the common situation or the symptom that you're having, then those two things might be a couple things for you to check. Okay. So that's step one, gang, is just go ahead and connect to DocuSign or verify that you're connected to DocuSign. All right. So now that we've done that, we're going to come over here to our applets, our navigation links on the left-hand side. I'm going to come over here to opportunities. It's the two shaking hands. Kind of looks like the United Way symbol, I always thought. Here we go. Now, you would think that step two would be to create an opportunity. However, if I click on create opportunity, I'm going to do that to show you why we're not going to do that yet. The very first thing it asks you for right up at the top here is who's your clients. Okay. So my step two for our process is to add your clients to your contact list. So I'm going to come back here to the clients. Okay. And I'm going to go ahead and pop in a couple of clients here. I always use fictitious characters. You guys have seen me do that before. So I'm going to go ahead and put in Luke Cage. He's one of the Marvel characters on Netflix. So I'll say Powerman at thedefenders.com. Okay. And go ahead and create that. Of course, if I wanted to populate more information, I could certainly do that. And then I'm going to say he had a girlfriend in there named Jessica Jones. I'm just going to assume that they got married for the purposes of today. And we will add Jessica Jones at thedefenders.com as well. Now, I am going to use this add relationship tool. I'll show you why. You'll see the benefit of doing that now. But I'll click on that and I'll start typing in Luke Cage's name. And as soon as his name pops up, I can add him as spouse or any of these other relationships, father, mother, son, daughter, brother. If you don't know how to classify somebody, I literally just had this happen earlier today. Somebody said they were engaged and there's no engagement relationship here. If you go all the way to the bottom, there's one down there that says other. So if you're ever at a loss, you can always just put other in there, okay? All right, so there's my two clients. I've got email addresses for them because remember, we're ultimately going to email them off some forms. And now I'm going to come back to my opportunities. So step one, connect to DocuSign or verify you're connected to DocuSign. Step two, add your clients and make sure that you include an email address, all right? Step three is to go ahead and let's create that opportunity and put in some details here. So I'm going to come up here on the top right to this create opportunity button. I'll click on that. And as always with command, anything with a red asterisk on it is a required field, okay? So market center should be selected automatically. Mine is to KW Consultants. If I'm on a team, I may need to use this team option. I'm not, but if somebody is, if you click on this, it'll switch between your individual command account and your team command account. So you can put it in your teams. Most teams do try and administer their opportunities all as one group. The opportunity type will do, let's do the buyer side today. It's always fun. And then the owner over here, I actually had somebody ask me this. This is not a bad question. They asked me if that was the owner of the house or the property. It's actually not. It's the owner of the opportunity. And I bring that up again because remember, we could have chosen, if we're on a team up here. And for a lot of teams, they have it set up where the owner is actually the rainmaker of the account, okay, or the rainmaker of the team, okay? If you were on a team, though, you would see another field here that says assignee. And that's how that either you, Heather, or Joan would assign yourself as the person who is administering this opportunity, if that makes sense. So they would own the opportunity for the team, but you're the one that's actually obviously being the agent for the deal and administering that, okay? So the clients, yeah, go right ahead.
Have a question.
Sure.
What if it is Kate, Kate, the transaction, Kate Randall. So what if Kate is doing a transaction for me? what would she put in there? Would she put me or Kate?
Is she on a team for you where she has administrative access to your stuff?
She could. She does
Okay.
transactions for a lot of different agents.
Okay, and I asked that, Joan, because it goes one of two ways. If you're an administrative person or even a marketing person on some of our teams do that for the teams, within the team command, they have actually been assigned administrative control so that they can log into everybody's different accounts if you're on a team. We have the other way where people actually, like, if I had somebody that was helping me out and I didn't have team command set up yet, some of our agents, whether it's right or wrong, they give their login information to their admin or the person helping them out, and they just log into command for them. If that's the case, of course, you would keep it under your name. Okay. Does that answer your question?
Thanks.
Okay. Yeah, no problem. Good questions. All right. So where are we at? Clients. Okay. So we'll finish out our fields here. I'm going to start typing in Luke's name, Luke Cage, and he pops up. And remember, the reason I put Jessica in here is now when I click on co-buyer, because I put a relationship, she actually pops up automatically. So I always try and show you guys little time-saving tips. And I know it would not take me more than a few seconds to start typing Jessica. But if I can save you a few seconds here and there, that's one of those tips where I do. Then it adds up over the day. Okay. The opportunity name. This really, it depends on what phase that you're in. You know, this could be a brand new client. I could literally just be getting to know these people. They're not actually looking for a house yet or anything. So if that's the case, maybe I just want to go with their name for now. However, if they have announced that they're looking for a place, or you know, in the case of a buyer, you actually have an address, I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to put in an address. Oops. Okay, so let me explain this a little bit. In the show, The Defenders, that's all the superheroes. They have a place in New York that's called Heck's Kitchen, but it's not the proper word Heck, it's the other word. So I'm just gonna
Hell's Kitchen.
You guys get the idea. I'll keep this PG or PG-13 today, okay? So anyways, the opportunity name, we do encourage everybody, if you can, if you've gotten to that point where you have an address, please do put that as the opportunity. Regardless of how you organize your opportunities, when you submit your compliance forms to the Market Center, Lisa, it does help her to have the actual address in there. If she doesn't have it in there, she's probably going to come asking you anyway. So, but it's okay to do a combination of both the client name or the address in whatever order you want, as long as the address is in there somewhere, okay? So the rest of these, I'll just do an estimated close date. Let's just take this out 2 months. That seems reasonable in our area. Hell, hey, it's July 4th. What do you know? The budget, we'll put these guys at, let's just say 400,000, just grabbing some random numbers here. Remember, anything with the red asterisk is required, so commission rate must be filled out. And also in the opportunities in the background, you may have noticed that there were 5 different stages there: cultivate, appointment, and you can see them right here in this menu. You've got cultivate, appointment, active, and then your contract and your close. Now, I like to bring this up because we're pushing almost 300 agents here, consultants, and honestly, we run the gambit of how people administer their opportunities. A lot of people are very meticulous, and anytime anything changes or updates, or, you know, they made an appointment, whatever, either themselves or their administrator or somebody on their team comes in and updates this to keep it as close to up to date as possible. So you always have a current snapshot. If that's you and you have the time and the manpower to do that, that's okay. All right. We also have the opposite side of the fence, and it's not to say that it's wrong or not. It is what it is. We have agents where they work a full-time job, and being an agent is a part-time gig for them, or they're a solo agent and they have to do everything for themselves, you know, including their administrative tasks, their marketing, their social media, doing all the open houses, you know, all the legwork for everything else, etc. Okay. I say that because sometimes they will work the entire deal, get all the paperwork signed and closed. And it's at that point they finally come in and create an opportunity and throw in all their forms, compliance forms to submit to the Market Center. There's nothing wrong with either way, gang. Okay. It is what it is. I bring it up because right here, we are required to choose an opportunity phase and an opportunity stage. If you're that second type of agent, or you just find yourself in that, you might be very meticulous and organized normally, but maybe you just get really busy and you're swamped and you just didn't have time, okay, on occasion. So even if you come in and you put everything in at once, you cannot start an opportunity at contract or closed. Okay, notice when I pull up this menu, I have cultivate, appointment, and active. You need to start in one of those 3 phases, but that's okay. We can always move it over as things progress along, or if the deal's done, put in all the information and just drag it over to wherever the deal is then, okay? But I do want to show a couple different things here. Each of these phases has different opportunity stages within them. So if I look under cultivate, and this kind of explains like what each one is. We've got watch, nurture, and hot. Watching, that could be somebody you literally just met. Literally, I'm just watching them as a potential client, okay? You met at a networking event, maybe, you know, when you were out to dinner, you talked to the waitress or the waiter, etc. Somebody that you literally just got their contact information. They have no intention of buying a house whatsoever. Nurturing, maybe you're actually starting to have some conversations with them about what they, you know, want, like, desire, etc. Me personally, I consider a hot cultivate. If somebody announces their intentions, I want to buy a house in a year, or hey, we are on the market looking for a place right now. To me, that's a hot cultivate right there. Okay, you can choose whatever you want to on those, but that's the 3 stages of cultivate. If I go over here and I change this to appointment, there's 3 stages. There's scheduling. You're actually scheduling appointments, or you did schedule an appointment, or best case scenario, they kept an appointment. That's how you kind of progress through those stages. Okay. And then on the last phase under active, I've got searching, or you're actually doing showing, or you've actually entered into negotiations, which is always a good thing, okay? So for ours, I'll just leave it on active. I'll choose negotiations, got all those required fields done, and click on create. Here we go. So what that's done is it's created my basic opportunity and command for me. And you can see we've got multiple options up here at the top. We've got the details area, the buyer's profile, documents, offers and commissions, notes, etc. Up on the top, it created the opportunity name for me. You can see my clients. There's Luke Cage and Jessica Jones. And as I scroll down, you'll see all that general information that I put in on the opportunity is in there, including the budget commission. It actually calculated my commission for me, which is kind of nice, okay? If you ever need to go in and edit any of this information, these little pencils right here are always your edit buttons. So if I click on the little pencil, I'll actually get the edit general information area. And there's actually more information here than what we saw on the first screen. You can see things like the appointment is scheduled, what date, the actual appointment date, whether the agreement was won, the contract date, close date, the type of financing. You can see under there, you've got basic stuff like, you know, conventional VA, FHA, etc. So a whole bunch of different options there that you can update. All right. So that's the basic opportunity, gang. The next step is to go in and get your get your documents from Docusign and get them prepped and ready to send to the clients for signatures. So to start that process, we're going to come over here on the menu and go to the 3rd option, which is documents. So I'll click on documents. And then after I do that, I need to come over here on the left-hand side where it says pick checklist type. And when I click on that, because we do offer some different types of things at our market, this is different for every market center, we've got residential, commercial, new builds, or land. So we're going to do a residential one. And when I click on that, you'll see that folder area kind of updates into 3 different areas. I've got a consultation area or phase. I've got an under contract phase. And I've got a close phase as well. And as I click on each one, what you're going to see over on the right is it's giving you placeholders for the documents that are either required or optional to fully go through the transaction on this deal. So notice under consultation, I've got a recommendation of buyers. If I click over here on under contract, anything in red is always going to be your required forms that you need for your compliance. You can see here, I've got my consumer guide to agency. I've got my agency disclosure. My RPD is down here, residential property disclosure, etc. Anything in orange is conditional, could be like lead-based paint, etc., things like that. And then anything in yellow is going to be an optional form for you, okay? Now remember, these are not the actual forms. It's literally just given placeholders for you to go and get the forms and then add them here. So that's what we're going to need to do. And in order to do that, I'm going to click over here on the top right. I've got this option that says start a transaction. Now, this may be a little bit different for you. When I click on it, you're going to see I get a menu. And that's because I'm connected to both Docusign and .loop. If you're connected to both, you'll see the same menu. If you're only connected to Docusign, as soon as you click on start a transaction, it'll just take you right over there, okay? Just want to make sure in case, you know, you didn't see the menu, that's why. So I'm going to click on Docusign and give it a second here. Now, if I had not logged in today, it would ask me to log in. You can actually see I have a prior envelope today that I was working on. So, so it just jumped me right into the room, okay? And don't ever let the names fool you. Docusign uses what's called rooms. .loop uses what's called loops. They're the same thing, gang. It's a folder for your files. That's all it is. It's just a fancy name for a folder for your files, okay? But when I come into this Docusign room, you'll notice it carried forward my opportunity name. So the room name took on the same one, Luke Cage, 444 Hex Kitchen Lane, okay? And what I'm going to do is I'm going to go over here to the details area on the far left. And we want to make sure that we have any required information put into the details area. Now, the cool thing is anything that you put into command in your opportunity is going to get pulled forward, okay? So if you look over here on the left-hand side, I don't have seller information, but if I scroll down past the sellers, it's on the far right-hand side. I've got the sellers, listing agents 1 and 2. Boom, there's my buyers already filled in, Luke Cage and his email address, okay? Keep scrolling down, buyer number 2, there's Jessica Jones and her email address. And then the buyer agent is myself with all of my contact info. Pull that all in from command, so it saves you a little bit of trouble, okay? I always like to warn people, because we've had agents do this before, maybe they're not familiar or with opportunities very well. They will come into Docusign and start a room as the first step. Please don't do that, because once you create a room in Docusign, but then I go create the opportunity, that opportunity room has its unique name. You cannot switch rooms between them, gang. You can't do it. So then you get in a frustrating situation. Now you've got to download all those previous document forms that you spent all the time working on, upload them into your other Docusign room. It happens to us all the time, okay? So always start these things off in command and it'll save you some heartache, okay? If you look up at the very top of the room information here, it says anything that's red or has an asterisk, just like command, that is required to close this transaction. So if I scroll down, looking over here on the left, I've got a bunch of different informations. I've got room information. I've got location information. That is required. So I am going to have to come in and fill that out. Offer details. You can see it pulled forward my contract amount. Again, anything command will pull forward. Your high bid information, closing details, any additional information, and then property details, which is straight out of your MLS. That's going to be your bedrooms, bathrooms, the square footage, the acreage size, etc. Okay, so it is telling me that location needs to be done. So I do need to get that done. And to do that, I'm going to come up on the top right-hand side. You've got a button over here. Again, it's the pencil, says edit. And when I click on that, this turns into an actual form that I can fill out. Okay, so once again, I'll put in that information. 444 Hex Kitchen. My mother would be proud that I'm using good language here. We'll do, this is in New York, so we'll do New York, New York. I honestly don't know what county that is, so we'll just say Franklin County as well. State, big state of New York, New York, New York. There we go. Postal code, I have no idea what the postal codes are. We're just making stuff up here. Property types, okay? If you ever do need to designate anything as other than actual residential, this is where you'd find commercial, condos, farm or land as well, new construction as well. So if you're ever wondering where you designate those, that's where. We're going to go with residential detached. Actually, yeah, we'll go with that. The year built, I'm going to make this fairly new because I know all these superheroes are always blowing up their homes like every other movie. So we'll make that a fairly new one on 2018. And then the last thing I want to show, I don't need to put this in there, but just so you guys know that it's there, we do have a special circumstances option here as well. And when I click on that, this is if you have something like an estate sale or a foreclosure, maybe a relocation or a short sale, you can designate that here as well. Again, we don't need to for this transaction, but that's where you would do it from, okay? So that's all the information I need for the location. I'm going to come down here now to the bottom right-hand side and just click on save. And boom. Now it's got all the information in there for the address. So that was required to close. I got all the information in there. So we should be good to go. All right. So now that we have the room details made out, the next step is to actually get the forms that we need for compliance and then prepare them and send them off to our clients for electronic signatures using DocuSign. Okay. So to do that, we're going to come over here to the next menu. We've got details, documents, people, envelopes. We're going to go to the second one that says documents. And when I click on that, you'll notice that there's nothing in there right now. It says, do you want to add documents to your room? You can do that down here in the middle or over here on the top right where it has this add button. So I'm going to go ahead and do that so we can get our forms. I'm going to click on add. Now there are multiple places that you can upload these documents from, okay? You'll notice down here you have things like Box. Some people use different storage locations for their files. We've got Box, we've got Dropbox. If somebody's saving something on a Google Drive for you, you can grab it from there. If you've had a client or somebody ever email you a form and then you save it onto your hard drive, you've got that first option that says computer. That would allow you to just go search for the file and then upload it from your hard drive, okay? So don't ever worry if that ever happens to you. It's very easy to get it into DocuSign here. So for now, though, we're going to go with the DocuSign forms so that we can get our actual compliance forms. And I do want to pause here momentarily. Joan and Heather, both of you probably are not in this situation, I'm guessing. You're both experienced agents. I do want to bring it up since we're recording the call, that if you're a new agent and this is your very first DocuSign room that you've ever done to add forms, you're not going to see the window that I'm seeing right now. You're going to see one before that. And it's going to ask you, do you want to associate as a realtor? Or there's a second option, and I apologize. I can't even remember what the second option is because we never even choose it. But you will associate as a realtor, obviously. And then it's going to ask you for your NRDS number, what we jokingly refer to as your NERDS number. That is sent to you from the National Association of Realtors in an email when you actually get your when you pass your test and get your license. So if you have your NERDS number, you would just enter it in there. And then you would be able to see, you only have to do that one time, only the very first time. Then you would see the menu that I'm seeing right now. If you don't have or can't find your NERDS number, don't worry about that either, because in that same window, it's going to have an option that says, please send me another one. So you can always do that as well. They would just send you an email. You go grab that email, punch in that number here, and then you're good to go. Again, you only have to do that one time. All right. So we want to add our DocuSign forms. We've got a couple options here. You see that right now I'm selected to the DocuSign Forms library, or I've also got DocuSign form groups, okay? If I'm in the library, I've got a couple options here. I can see the CBOR, the Columbus Board of Realtors, or I've got KW330, which is our KW Consultants Market Center, okay? So if I click on the CBOR, the Columbus Board of Realtors, we'll just bring that up. And you can see once it populates, I could literally scroll down. I believe there's about 78 or 80 different types of forms here, okay? Something for everybody, but it's basically everything in alphabetical order. I could certainly scroll down to try and find the forms. If I found one I wanted, I would just click on the selection button over here. Or you can use the search field, and notice if I start typing the word buyer, now everything with buyer in it pops up. So that could save me a little bit of time as well, rather than just scrolling through 80 different forms, okay? Also under the library, if I just went to KW330, I would see some of the Market Center forms in there as well. Agency disclosure forms, residential property disclosure forms, consumer guide to agency relationships, etc. All right. The advantage to going up here rather than the library and going to the groups is that as I do that, and now I click on the actual forms, you'll notice our Market Center has actually broken those up into the different transaction types and phases of that transaction. So right here, I've got either KW330 all documents, or I've got KW330 buyers, either the consultation, the under contract, or some optional forms. Same thing on the seller side, listed, under contract, or some optional forms, okay? So if I click under KW330, boom, you'll notice right there, it even tells me that's a required form. That's my consumer guide to agency relationships. So definitely want to add that. And you'll see it pop into our room here, okay, into our documents room. Oh, sorry. Sorry if you guys hear that. My Alexa, my electronic Alexa picked up my voice and it thought I was giving it command. So I promise there's nobody in the room behind me. All right, so if I just click on that form, I can always preview it. It'll pull up the actual PDF for me. Okay, I can scroll through. Just a good way to make sure that you go through and you've got the correct forms. Again, the advantage of doing everything in command allows you to pull the information into the DocuSign room. The DocuSign room, you can see it's already filled out part of the forms for me. It's got Luke Cage and Jessica Jones. Their names are already in those fields because I designated them as the buyers and included their information already. Okay, so again, that's another one of those time-saving tips for you. Okay. To get out of this preview, just click on the X up on the upper right-hand side. Okay. So again, that's all you would do. You would go in there and you would add whichever forms you need. I know obviously for a proper transaction, you're going to need multiple forms. I'm just going to work with one today for simplicity, but you guys will get the idea just going through the process. Okay. So notice as I move my cursor over to that form, our consumer guide to agency, this little dot shows up. And if I click on that, it allows me to select it. Now, if I did have multiple forms in here, of course, I could select multiple forms. And then I've got some options that show up here on this toolbar right in the middle of the screen, okay? I've got some options. The first couple are either to copy or move. I could copy this to another room or move it to another room. Again, that could happen if you got into one of those situations where you went into DocuSign and started your transaction there first. Then you went and did the opportunity and needed to copy or move things over to get it to the one that's actually linked to command, okay? I could select that form or forms and I could email them. Sometimes you just need to email off the blank copy to somebody, maybe the title agency or somebody else, okay? Or I could come over here to the next one, which is create envelope. That's actually what we're going to do in a moment here. But then the last ones, I could archive this if it was older stuff. I could unarchive it if I'm going into an older DocuSign room and just pulling out some old documents that I might need again, or I could delete it if I had the wrong one in there, okay? So several options there. What we want to do is we do want to go and create an envelope because what we want to do is we want to prep this to send to the recipient so that they can put an electronic or an e-signature on there, okay? So we're going to go ahead and click on create envelope. Give it just 1 second. There we go. Just take a second to update. And now we're in the actual envelope details. And that's our next step is to punch out these envelope details, send it off, get the signature. Our last step will be to bring those back into command and submit them to the market center, okay? So we want to give this envelope a name. So for me, I just follow suit. You know, I'm big on doing the name and the address just to kind of keep a similar convention. All right, Luke Cage, 444 Hex Kitchen. All right. As I did before, you'll see the documents that are here in the envelope. I could always click on that to view it like I did before. If I decided, hey, I actually need some more documents that were in the room I forgot to put in there, I could click on the room docs and it would allow me to go back to the room and grab some other ones. If you had created any templates, you can actually do what's called a static form template in DocuSign, which is you pull in some of the Market Center forms or the Columbus Board of Realtor forms, and you just go in and you fill out all of your basic, maybe your agent information or your Market Center information, so that every single time you're not doing a form, you're not just repetitively putting in the same information all the time. It's a good time-saving tool. So if I had one of those, I could use a template. I'd pull that template in here. And then under more, I've got a couple other documents. Again, if I had documents from other places, whether it's Box, Dropbox, Google Drive, OneDrive, any of those are just file storage locations. Or once again, there's that upload button. If somebody had emailed it to you or sent it to you, you could always upload it from your computer as well to get it into the envelope, okay? So that would be the second step, is just setting up those documents in the envelope. The next one is to add recipients to the envelope. And it says right below, as a sender, you automatically receive a copy of the completed envelope. So if I click on add recipient, I get 3 different options here. I get pre-tagged roles, I get room participants, and I get email addresses. Now I could certainly do email address if I just need to shoot something off at somebody and that's all I had was their email. Room participants, that just allows you to access names that were in the DocuSign room. The option that we recommend everybody use is what's called pre-tagged roles. And here's why. I'm going to show you. All of these forms that you're going to pull in from DocuSign, whether it's your Market Center forms, whether it's the Columbus Board of Realtor forms, they are going to have all these different fields in there. And what you want to be able to do is to map the person assigned to a signature to that actual block or that part of the form that has that signature, okay? So if I come over here and I click on buyer one, any form that I get that has a buyer one field in there, whoever I choose right now is going to get assigned to that. So I'm going to choose buyer one, and then from this menu, if I scroll down here, you can see Luke Cage. He is one of my options. I'm going to put in Luke Cage. That way, there will never be a mistake on any of the forms that I get. Luke Cage will always be mapped to wherever it says buyer one, okay? Same thing for buyer two. I'm going to select that one and then go ahead and assign Jessica Jones. And then I just click add selected and give it a second. It's going to pop those two recipients into our envelope, okay? You can see I've got Luke Cage and Jessica Jones in there. I could actually move these names around if I want to click and hold on them and drag them, okay? Put them in a different order. That does not change the order in which they are received, by the way. What determines that is this number here over on the left-hand side. These can actually both, if I change that, I can have them both as one. And that means that they would both receive it at the same time. And it means that they could both sign, do the interactivity portion of the form and sign electronically at the same time, okay? And it doesn't matter whether one is said or not. Now, for some reason, let's say I wanted to make sure that Luke actually did his signatures prior to Jessica. I don't want Jessica to sign, for whatever reason, I don't want Jessica signing her stuff until Luke is done. I could come over here and change that order into a 1 and a 2. And now Jessica will not, she can open her forms and she can look at them, but she will not be able to do anything interactivity wise until Luke Cage is done with his, okay? So that's one thing you can do is change the order. The other thing you can do is change the action that's associated with each recipient. So the default is needs to sign. But if I click on that, I can see, I can choose needs to view or receives a copy. The difference is one, they could receive a copy and it could sit in their inbox for a year. But if it says needs to view, they actually need to open up that form and scroll to the bottom, and Docusign will detect that. So they can't, they actually have to go and they have to view it, okay? And then specify recipient. Some of the teams use this. That actually gives control to another person to assign what the actions are, okay? So we just need signatures first. So for now, we're gonna leave those the same. There are some additional options under more. We've got add access authentication. That's a long word. It's basically a passcode. If you want to add a passcode to that so they can get into the documents. Notice it said codes are not case sensitive, so it doesn't matter if you have capitals in there or not. You must provide this code to the signer, and this code is available for you to review on the envelope detail sheet, okay? So I'm going to give Luke an access code, basically. It's not required for you. Some states do require it, and I know some of the commercial transactions require it as well. All right. But the other option under more, other than the access code, is the add private message. And because I gave Luke one, I am going to give him a private message, and I'm going to say, Luke, your access code is 1, 2, 3, 4. I know it's not the most secure password in the entire world, but you guys get the idea. All right. Now, I do want to bring up that private message, that is only going to go to Luke. And also that passcode is also only for Luke as well. You notice Jessica, I did not assign her one down here, okay? So that will only go to Luke. However, down below, this message is to all recipients, okay? So I'm going to say, whoops, sorry, my mouse pad's really sensitive. Come on now. All right, so my email subject, I'll put transaction forms assigned, and then an email message. I'll go ahead and say something like Luke and Jessica, please e-sign these. I know I only have one document in there, but you could have more. Please e-sign these documents, okay? So that's all we're doing is prepping the envelope, all right? I've got a couple different things I could do now that I've got the envelope prepped. I could come over here and I could save and close it if I wanted to. If you're working on a team, you need the Rainmaker to review it. Some people actually like to create their envelopes in advance and get the ball rolling. So, maybe you don't even have all the documents yet. You just start one, but you can go ahead and assign recipients. Some people do that, and that's totally fine. So you can do that as well. But then what I'm going to do is go ahead, when you're ready and you're ready to fire this off, which in our case we're going to click on this next button. Actually, let me make sure I got an email for Luke, yes, and an email for Jessica, yes. Okay. Didn't want to get an email error message. I'll click on the next button on the upper right-hand side and give it a second. And what Docusign is going to do now is going to take me into the form, and it's going to allow me to build out those interactive things that I need, like signatures, initials, date boxes, etc. Okay. So if I scroll down, I'll get to the area down here where I need signatures. Now, the cool thing is because I did those pre-assigned roles, it actually knew, look, it already put in Luke Cage's name. It already put in Jessica Jones' name. Remember how I mapped out their name to specific fields? It knows that they're supposed to go here, and it already put the signature boxes. Now, me, I'm a marketing guy. You don't have to do this. I just like my stuff looking neat. It's just me and my little bit of OCD just to get those right on the lines, okay? But let's say I didn't do pre-assigned those fields, okay, or those pre-assigned roles. Or let's say I come into a document and it didn't have any of those initials or signing things for me, okay? It's very easy to add them. If you go over on the left-hand side, you've got all your standard fields over here. You've got signatures, initials, dates, names, emails. I can put text boxes. Some of your forms, you know, like say, you know, is this a single agent transaction or dual agent transaction? You might need to put some check boxes there, or a radio button where you choose only one or the other. Check boxes, you can normally choose multiple ones. So all kinds of stuff over here you can grab. I'm going to come over here to the signature block. I definitely need some e-signatures on here. And if I just click and hold my mouse down and drag it over to the form, you can see, boom, I get it lined up properly, and there's my signature. And once I dropped it and it's selected, it's got those little circles around it. I've got some options over here. You can see it's for Luke Cage. I can choose whether it's a required field or not. If I remove that, it turns white instead of yellow. You may need to make stuff just for reading and not necessarily a required field. I've got some formatting options down here for the scale, et cetera, some other things as well, okay? So I'll do the same thing with date sign, and I'll drag that over, okay? And you can see under formatting, I've also got, that's your standard fonts, your font sizes, the actual color on the fonts, et cetera, okay? Well, now I need to drag some stuff over to Jessica. Well, notice everything's yellow right now, and it says right up here on the top, this is selected to Luke Cage. But if I click on this little down arrow, I'm going to get this menu, and it shows me who my people in the forms are. I've got Luke Cage is yellow, or Jessica Jones is blue. So I'm going to go ahead and click on Jessica. Notice all of these options turn blue now. And now when I drag out a signature, you can see that that's blue for Jessica, and same thing with the date sign. Okay. And just to show an example, maybe for Luke, you know, I had a text field or something that I needed to add for him. I could always click that there. Anywhere in the form, you can resize this, just moving the box around. Maybe we need a comment down for each of them. So I'll put one down there for Luke. And then here's a text box for Jessica. Again, just to show you another example of some of the other fields that you can do. Okay. And that just allows them to click in there and type in there. Again, this could be a required field, non-required field. It could be read only. Maybe I put some text in there that I need them to read, etc. Okay. So gang, that's what you do. Just go through that process for all the different forms that you had in your envelope. And then from there, we can do a couple of different things. I can do up on the top right here, I've got my menus. I can do a recipient preview. Now, remember how Luke was yellow and Jessica was blue? Check this out. When I go to recipient preview, it's going to bring up the form exactly how each of them is going to see it, okay? Again, I'll go over here on the menu and I'll choose Luke Cage. I want to see how Luke Cage is going to see this form. Now notice his name is yellow up here and his yellow stickies are yellow. If I click on start, it literally just goes down to the first area where Luke has to put in some info. There's the signature block, there's a text block. Just because I'm in the preview area, it gave me an auto timestamp. Don't worry about that. We put the field there, so they'll have it, okay? But now when I come up here to this menu and I choose Jessica, who is supposed to be blue, notice when I click on her name, her stickies are yellow still. Now, I always like to bring that up because, gang, those different colors, that is just for you as the Docusign creator, okay? I could have 2 people, 4 people, 6 people. I've seen multiple people on these forums before. You could have yellow, blue, you know, red, pink, purple, etc. I bring it up because they're all going to see yellow. Doesn't matter who they are. You just get those colors to help you organize and distinguish who's getting what, or who's required to sign what. I bring it up because I try and save the agent some embarrassment. I've heard of conversations where they keep telling people, go sign, they're like, well, where do I sign? Go sign where the purple boxes are. I put purple boxes for you. Those people are not going to see purple boxes. Everybody's going to see yellow boxes. Okay. So don't ever want you guys to embarrass yourselves. So I just always like to bring that little point up. I know it's a small point, but hopefully it'll keep you from getting embarrassed. All right. So that's the recipient preview. Once I'm done with all that and it's looking good, I got all my forms set up, my interactive stuff set up. Now, gang, it's time to click on this send button, which I'm going to do. And boom, takes us right back to our envelope. And now you can see it says waiting for others and the date that I sent that out. Okay. Now I can still interact with this envelope even though it's been sent. Notice if I come over here and I click on it, and I like to show this because you'll notice nobody's touched this yet. You can see the actual recipients. Here's Luke Cage, there's Jessica Jones. Both of them right now, it says needs to sign. Nobody has signed any of this stuff yet, okay? As long as everybody still says need to sign, even if one person does it, you can't do this. You'd have to redo the envelope. But if nobody signed it yet, even if Luke Cage opened up the document, went to sign in the middle of it, called me and said, David, this form is messed up, I think. Can you fix it? As long as that says need to sign and he hasn't submitted it, I can come over here to this correct button and it would allow me to go back into the envelope, change the recipients, the access codes, the private messages, and then also go through the forms again and add or delete. Maybe I forgot to put an initial spot somewhere, okay? I could go in and I can edit that. As long as nobody signed it, I can still do that. If even one person has signed it, I've got to create a new envelope, okay? Unfortunately. And then under more, you've got some other options. You can view the documents. This view envelope history is kind of nice, especially if you have multiple people on here and you're trying to track everybody. This literally gives you a chronological event. You can see that I created the envelope and it just goes through all the different steps, 239, 246,
What if you have like 6 documents in the envelope, but only one needs to be corrected? Do you have to then redo and put in all the previously signed ones that were finished?
If they have signed it, Heather, if even one person has signed it, unfortunately, yes.
So
Yeah, and that's the key. If you
document.
Yeah, and that's the key. As long as nobody has signed it yet, you can go back all day long and make corrections to this, okay? You can remove the document, add another one, change the document, etc. But if even that first person comes in and actually e-signs that, you've got to redo the whole thing because it's got a legally binding signature on there now.
So
Okay.
you have to make a new envelope and put all 6 documents in it.
You got to put the forms back in there again. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. And you'll notice, and I'll show you right now, I'll click on the correct button. Again, it's just because it says need sign. When I click on correct, it's going to put me right back into the envelope so I can change any of these envelope options that I talked about before. Okay, I can add people, I can add documents, I can remove documents, do whatever I want there. And then again, here's the edit signing fields up on the top right. If I click on that, it's going to pop me right into those documents. I just have one now, but it would be multiple ones like you said if you had 6. And I could go in here and I can edit any of these interactive fields that we had before. Okay.
Okay.
All right. Good question. All right. Let me go ahead and send again. All right. So gang, basically you're in a waiting game right now. You're just waiting for people to do their e-signatures and whatnot, and for them to come back and this portion to be corrected. However, when they do, I'm going to bounce back over here to command. And remember, we did we had our 3 different phases here: consultation, under contract, and close. I've got 4 different required documents over here. Okay, our consumer guide to agency was one of those. So now that I've got all the documents in the form in DocuSign, I need to get them into command so that ultimately, when they're signed, I can get those submitted over to the marketing center. Okay, or excuse me, market center. So I'm going to go ahead and under or next to each of these placeholders, I've got an option to add file. So I'm going to come here to our consumer guide to agency and click on the add file. And it basically gives me 3 options. I can add a file manually. Again, if I have it saved to my computer, maybe somebody's emailed it to me, or I've gone to, a Google Drive folder, downloaded it from somewhere else, etc. Basically, it's on my computer. I can manually upload that, or I can click on this. We've got custom folders. If you've set up custom folders, you could grab it from there, just if you're hyper organized. Best case scenario, I just click on this option that says Docusign. And because I am connected to that room now, you see that all of my room documents show up here now. I don't even have to go back to Docusign. I just do it right here. The room documents show up. There's my consumer guide to agency. I'm going to click on that and then click on the assign button. Give it just a second to download that form. And a couple different ways that you can tell your form came in. One, you can see the file name over here on the right-hand side now. There's that KW330 Consumer Guide to Agency .pdf, okay? Also over here, my status changed from not uploaded to uploaded. It's got, instead of a big X, it's got a little check mark there now, okay? Now I can always go in and click on this file name, gang, over on the right, just to verify that I got the right one. If you ever need to, don't feel shy. Click on that. There's our form. Okay. If they had signed it, then their signatures would show up here. Their e-signatures would show up. Yeah, I like to show this option as well too, because I've had instances where agents wanted to download or print or email like maybe one specific signed document. Again, maybe over to the title agency or the mortgage lender, whoever it is, it doesn't matter. This is where you would do that. You would come into the form and notice I've got a print option up here and I've got a download option up here. So if you ever needed that form with the e-signatures on it in a hard paper form or to download that to send to anybody, this is where you would do that from, okay? So I'll close out of that. And the cool thing now is, notice, even when we get our first document in there, this button was not there before. We now have an option right here that says submit to Market Center, okay? Submit to MC. So I could go ahead and, I'm not going to do that now. I don't want to send Lisa all my training forms. So she'll probably get upset with me, but if I was running through a deal, then that's what I would do. I'd click on the submit to MC. I have had talks with Lisa. You know, some people, again, they wait till the whole deal is done. They submit all their compliance all at the same time. That's great. If you get your forms done and want to send that as you're doing each of the individual forms, gang, that's totally okay too. Lisa said she actually prefers to get the documents early. It gives her more time to do a thorough review and a check on the compliance. And that just makes sure that you get a thorough, you know, a very complete review on yours so that there's no mistakes, especially around times like now at the end or beginning of the month when they're doing transmittal. Definitely want to make sure to send those as you're getting them in, okay? And gang, that's it. That's basically what you do. You could submit those to the Market Center, and then you are good to go. If you ever have changes, if anything changed in the documents here in Command and you needed those forms to update into Docusign, you could use the sync transaction option up here on the top left. Or if I'm ever in Command again, I can use this go to transaction option, and that would just take me right back into Docusign if I ever need it. Maybe I have an occurrence where I have multiple bids. There's a scenario. I need to go and I need to create a whole nother envelope for another group of recipients. Then I would go back to the transaction, create a different envelope for them. Okay. All right.
I have a question.
Yeah, go ahead, Joan.
Yeah, if I had a purchase contract and I just want to send that and other stuff to the listing agent, how do I do that?
If you want to do what now?
If I have the purchase contract and.
Okay, do you have it in Docusign or you've already pulled it into Command?
Yeah, if I already have it there and it's been signed, how do I send it to the listing agent?
Yeah, that great question, Joan. And that's why I was showing it. Yeah, I would let's just pretend that this consumer guide to agency is that purchase contract. Just go over here to the name of the file and click on it. And see how it pulls up a preview over on the left-hand side. But then over on the right-hand side, I've got a print option. So if you ever needed to print it and just deliver it to somebody, or if you need to send it, then you've got a download button right here, and you could download it onto your computer and then email the attachment to somebody if you need.
Oh, okay.
Okay.
Oh, okay.
Awesome. Good questions.
Thank you. This is really good today.
All right. Well, thank you, guys. Does anybody have any other questions before we call it a day? Hopefully that helped clear some stuff up for you.
No, I'm gonna walk outside and get a breath of sunshine. It's out, fresh air and sunshine. Sun's out.
There you go. I need to get a window seat one of these days, other than the virtual one I have over here.
I know. Thank you, David.
All right. Well, yeah, Heather, Joan, thank you both for showing up today. I appreciate you guys showing up. And look forward to seeing you guys on some more training here.
You will.
All right. Have a good night, ladies.
That could be a threat. I don't know.
Hey, there's another class tomorrow, Heather, so I always keep them coming.
Oh, what time?
It's tech is always on Wednesday from 2 to 3. And tomorrow we're going to go through client testimonials, like from start to finish, like how to get them. And then after you've got them, how to display them on your website, how to use them on social media posts, the whole, put them into a smart plan, the whole 9 yards.
Ooh, I'll be there.
So that's a new class. So I'm pretty excited about it.
David, I will be there for
Awesome.
all your classes that I can possibly be.
Sounds good. Well, if you are there, then I am there. Oh, wait, I have to be, don't I?
It's a little fast, and when you redo it, I'll listen again, because I got a little bit confused towards the envelope. But,
okay.
I'll listen again, and I'll sign up. So,
yeah, and don't forget, we always have them on the YouTube channel. If you ever want to go and like on the weekends or stuff, if you have extra time or evenings.
Stop recording, David.
No, you're good. I always clip these anyway. So, but then also feel free to set up a one-on-one anytime. You know that, Heather, if you need some help. Okay.
Yeah. Edit me out.
You're good. You're good. All right. Well, enjoy your Taco Tuesday evening. Okay.
Sure, you know, I mean.
Oh, I know. Mine's so spiky, I never have to worry about it. So.
I look like the Wicked Witch of the.
No, I doubt that. We just watched The Wizard of Oz the other night. I know you don't.
Oh, God. Well, I saw you last night when I came in, and you stayed late.
It was a late night for me. Yeah.
I guess so.
Getting a lot done.
Yeah. Well.
Yeah, Mondays are usually my busy day because everybody is trying to work over the weekends, runs into problems, and even if I like have a bunch of schedules, I get more phone calls from people that ran into problems on Mondays. So yeah, it's always a busy day for me.
Wow. Well, I appreciate your time. So thank you.
I appreciate that you do. So thank you and enjoy your evening, and I will see you soon.
Yes, sir.
All right. Take care, Heather.
Bye-bye.
All right. Bye-bye.